Are you hungry?
Give me something good.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Today we're making burger buns. We're gonna make the best burger buns you'll ever have. I've tried a lot of burger bun recipes and never really been happy. A lot of store-bought burger buns as well, but they never really floated my boat. Now this recipe is basically, I came across a recipe by a YouTuber called Joshua Weissman, and it's very close to his recipe. The only difference is I'm exchanging sugar for honey because I prefer the taste of honey in bread. So the credit goes to him. I don't know where he got it from originally, but the credit goes to him. It's basically a mix between a brioche and a chocopan, like a milk bread, Japanese milk bread. But before we have a look at the ingredients, do me the favor, if you're not supporting the channel yet, please do so by clicking the subscribe button and checking the bell icon so that you get notifications. Now let's have a look here. In this pot is the mix for a Tangzhong, and that's basically flour, milk and water. 20 grams of flour, 30 grams of milk and 60 grams of water. So I'll show you how we do that on the stove afterwards. Now here we have our flour, in this case 320 grams, our milk 120 grams, and this is warm. It's not really finger temperature, but almost, so 32 degrees. And that's important for the yeast. 9 grams of yeast, we can already put that in here to start activating it. We'll mix it afterwards. We need 7 grams of salt, 45 grams of unsalted butter, 45 grams of honey, 1 whole egg plus an egg yolk, that's for the dough, and we have 1 whole egg to paint the buns with before we bake them. So that's everything we need. And now let's move over there for our Tangzhong. We have our Tangzhong mix in here. It's easy with a spatula. You just grab a spatula, and now we're going to stir this. You don't want it too hot. This will take, once it's up to temperature, it will go very quickly, but it will probably take a couple of minutes. So I'll see you once it starts thickening. Now it's slowly starting to thicken. Just remember to continue stirring the whole time. It goes quite quick now towards the end. Really kind of gluey texture to it. Now this helps to make it an airier bun, and is supposed to make it keep a little bit longer. Now we're pretty much done with this. So I will take it off the heat and we'll move the camera, and I'll see you in a bit. So our Tangzhong is ready. I'll set up the KitchenAid. Let's get the flour in here, as well as our salt. I will put it into the machine. Get your dough hook out. And now we've assembled everything. We'll start just to mix through the salt and the flour. We have kind of primed our yeast in the warm milk. We can pour all of that in. Get our Tangzhong mix. In as well, together with your honey. We'll let this come together now. Not very fast, slow speed, let it all come together. Then we'll add the eggs, let that come together, and then we'll add the butter. Now sometimes you might want to stop it, lower it, and kind of scrape down the sides a little bit to make sure that it all comes together. We're almost ready for the eggs. Before we put our eggs in, I'm just gonna, you don't have to do this, I'm just gonna beat them a little bit with a fork or mix them. Goes a bit quicker then. Now I can put them in. Just as a reminder, there was a whole egg plus 1 egg yolk. And last but not least, our butter. Room temperature. Just get it in there. Now we'll let everything come together. Probably 5 to 6 minutes of kneading. See in a bit. We're there. Now I think the easiest is if I get rid of the machine. So I'll be back in a second and it will be cleaner. See if we can get it out like this. And it's a sticky dough. So let's just form it a little bit and then put it into our container. Now I didn't butter it, but there's fat in the container so that it doesn't stick. Now we'll put a lid on and we need to let it go until it's doubled in size. Now that can take anything from an hour to almost 2 hours depending on the temperature. But the goal is that it doubles in size. So I'll see you when it doubled. Our dough is ready. It's about half the size, double the size of course. Get it out, a little bit of flour on your surface. Now press out the air. And now we're going to portion it. The first thing we can do is just to weigh it. And it's easy to portion. We want about 95 grams per bun. So 649. That will make, we'll make almost 7 buns. Just roughly divide it up. And we can see 115 is a bit too much. 94, perfect. Now what you want to do is to just kind of pinch in the bottom. You see I'm folding underneath and then pinching in. And then if I can show you here, you want to twist and pull in under to get tension. And then I prepared a baking tray with some baking paper on it. And we'll just place them on top there. So portion your buns, 95 grams each. Do that to them. And then I'll tell you what to do next. So this is the last one. We got 6 at 95. And this one is at around 80. So it will be a bit smaller, but that's the one we'll test. So it doesn't matter. We'll just eat it like that. Now, we can move this away and then I'll show you what we need to do. If you, like me, have 2 oven trays, you take one, obviously with your buns, turn it upside down and put it on top. And now we leave this for about another hour. They need to double again in size. So I'll see once that's done. And a little bit before that's done, so maybe in 40 minutes, turn on your oven to 180 degrees. 190 degrees. 190 degrees Celsius, so that it's warm once these are fully raised. Pretty much doubled in size. I whisked up the single egg that we have, like an egg wash. Now you can put some water or a bit of milk in this, but in my experience it's not needed. Now make sure that you paint the whole bun. So also the edges down to the paper basically. Now that will just give it a much more beautiful golden color. Now I've done the first one, do the rest, and I'll see you in a bit. So now all of them are done. Our oven has been preheated to 190 degrees Celsius. These now go in 18 to 20 minutes. Check them after 18. And if you're happy with the golden brown of them, take them out. In the meantime, prepare like a cooling rack because they need to cool afterwards. So I've seen about 18 minutes. Our buns are ready. Nice and golden. I have the cooling rack. And I don't have Teflon hands, but if you're quick enough, you won't burn yourself too bad. This is the smaller one that we'll try later. Now, as always, when you bake, you have to let stuff cool. So we need to let this cool. And what I forgot to mention before is that if you want, obviously you can put sesame seed or caraway seeds or salt, like flaky salt, anything you want to put on top. Now this is getting hot, so let's leave them to cool, and I'll see in a bit when we try it. The smallest one, remember the one that was 83 grams? Let's give this one a try. First we'll do a cut. That's the inside. So you can see it as well. I'll zoom in. It's really nice and soft. Now obviously, it's a lot better with a burger in it, but it's also quite good like this. It's like a milk bread. Wonderful and beautiful color on top. Now, the good thing about this, you can make a double batch, and then you get up maybe, what did I get, 6.5? Maybe you get 13 proper buns, and you can freeze them. You can freeze them 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, however big your family is, so that you always have nice homemade burger buns. And they keep in the freezer for, I don't know, 6 months at least. And it's a really nice thing. You just pop them in the oven quickly, once they're defrosted, to give them a bit of, not crunch, but to give them back some life. And then what I always like to do is to fry the buns as well. And you're not really going to notice a big difference, homemade frozen to homemade fresh. There's a little bit of difference, but homemade frozen is still a hell of a lot better than bought. I promise you that. So that's pretty much it for today. The best ever burger buns, and they're really easy, as you saw. Now, if you stuck with me this far, do me the favor, hit that thumbs up button below. It really helps the YouTube algorithm to realize that my content is worth sharing with others. So do me that favor. Also leave a comment. And if you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe and the bell icon. That's all I can ask for. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.